I was born and raised in Atlanta, Georgia. I was raised by a single mother, and we moved a lot. I went to 6 different elementary schools and 4 different high schools. I went off to college on a basketball scholarship, majored in accounting. Once I graduated, came back to Atlanta and worked at Georgia Pacific, joined them as a cost accountant. While I was a cost accountant, I noticed that data processing, what we used to call IT back then, and accounting, we were missing each other. So I saw there was a need for a person in the middle, and I wanted to be part of that change. My biggest challenge in my professional career came when I gave my first big presentation to a room full of powerful people. I'll never forget, I was 5 minutes into the presentation, and the most powerful man in the room said, "Time out. That's the worst recommendation I've ever heard before in my life." He just didn't say that day, that week, he said his whole life. And I'm saying, man, you're about 60, you've heard some worse stuff than what I just said. Well, I guess it was, because next thing I knew, I was no longer a project leader. And I'm laughing about it now, but you can imagine how deflated I was. Then I get a phone call. It is from that same person. He came to realize what I was saying was right, and he respected the way that I had the courage to stand up there and make a recommendation that was different than what prevailing wisdom was. And we wound up going with that recommendation. And what I take even greater pride in, how that challenge actually became a triumph, is that the idea or the recommendation didn't even come from me. It came from one of our frontline people. And that became kind of the basis of my leadership style. Leaders have 2 responsibilities. The first responsibility is to make a difference. And the way you make a difference, you have to be willing to be different. The second responsibility is to develop other leaders. And the way you develop other leaders is to spend time with other people.
He impacts so many people, and what he leaves behind is hope. When you finish working with James, you have hope. So people really admire and respect him, and you can know technology, but sometimes it's harder to know people, and he knows people.
I think James has done what every CIO dreams about doing, and that's that you want to be more than just a CIO. We need every single talented, smart, capable person out there that we can recruit into IT to be there. And I think James's legacy will be showing other people that this is an exciting place to be. You can not only do it, but you can thrive.
My advice for the next generation of IT leaders is to take more risk. You got to be willing to be wrong for the right reasons. You got to be willing to get lost for the right destination. That's what bridge building is about. That's what risk taking is about. You have to be willing to build bridges that have not been built before. Georgia's current technology community is vibrant, and its future is bright. And it's bright because IT is getting more powerful and more pervasive each and every day. As I stand here accepting this tremendous honor, it takes me back 12 years ago to when I was standing in front of a classroom on career day in front of 9th graders at my old inner city high school, Booker T. Washington here in Atlanta. And I remember when the teacher said, "Our next presenter is James Dallas, CIO." You can imagine the reaction of those 9th graders. It was like big whoop. They had no idea what the title meant, okay? And they had no idea what I did. And I remember as I was walking up, one of the kids in the room, and there's always that one kid, said, "So what do you do?" Okay? And I said, "I do 3 things. I break down barriers, I build bridges, and I bring people together. Then he said, so what barriers do you break down? I said, the first one is always the mental barrier that limits people's thinking on what's possible. Then I build a bridge between the possibilities and the opportunities. Then, and this is the fun part of what I do, I get people to cross that bridge and roll up their sleeves and work together to turn those possibilities into realities. Next thing that kid was saying, I want to be a CIO. Yes, that's what we do. That's how we're changing the world. That's what this award is about. I'm tremendously honored to be recognized by my peers. I'm tremendously fortunate to have the family that I have. My partner of 37 years, my wife Celeste, our 3 beautiful daughters, our outstanding son-in-law, and we brought our grandson with us, all 9 months old, Logan, because we want to see, and we want him to see what he can be. You all are getting people to see what they can be. I also want to thank my friends and my coworkers who at times, like my family, had more faith in me than I even had in myself. So thank you all for this tremendous honor. And as CIOs, let's go change the world. Thank you.